Could the Kansas City Chiefs be cooking up a blockbuster move for one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL? That's what the latest rumor suggests. And yeah, it's coming from a pretty credible place. According to a new article from Sports Illustrated's Chiefs page, Michael Canelo has floated the idea that the Chiefs should be seriously considering a trade for Green Bay Packers All-Pro corner Jaire Alexander. Now, when a name like Jaire Alexander gets linked to the Chiefs, people start paying attention. We're talking about a legit shutdown corner. Two-time second-team All-Pro, two-time Pro Bowler, and one of the nastiest cover guys in the league when he's healthy. But before we dive deeper, let's look at where this chatter really began. NFL insider Josina Anderson reported earlier this week that there's been some real friction between Alexander and the Packers. Apparently, there's an understanding between Alexander and the team that his contract and roster situation need to be resolved before he shows up for the offseason program. Translation? He's not in Green Bay right now, and the team is already having exploratory trade talks with other franchises. Release is also reportedly on the table. That's not just smoke, that's a small fire. Here's where it gets interesting. At least two teams have been monitoring Alexander's status for quite some time, per Anderson. And based on how Sports Illustrated connected the dots, the Chiefs might be one of them. So now the fan base is buzzing with one big question. Should the Chiefs actually go after this guy? Now look, before we get too deep into this, let me ask you straight up. Would you trade for Jaire Alexander if you were Brett Veach? Type Y for yes, N for no in the comments. I want to know what you would do. Also, if you're loving this kind of daily Chiefs talk and breakdowns, hit that subscribe button. We're pushing for 4,000 subscribers, and with your help, we'll get there fast. Like the video too. It's the easiest way to help grow the channel and keep this content coming your way every single day. All right, now that we've laid out the rumor and who's behind it, let's take a look at what this move would actually mean for the Chiefs' cornerback room. So let's get real here. As exciting as a Jaire Alexander trade sounds, do the Chiefs even need him? That's the million-dollar question, and the answer isn't as simple as you might think. First off, let's talk about what the Chiefs already have. The cornerback room in Kansas City is in pretty good shape right now. You've got Trent McDuffie, who's developed into one of the top young corners in the league. The Chiefs just picked up his fifth-year option, signaling that they're committed to him long-term. That's a big move. Then there's Jaylen Watson. Sure, he's had some injury issues, but when he's been on the field, he's shown flashes. If he stays healthy, he's a solid starter. Add in Christian Fulton, who just came over from the Chargers, and you've got another capable veteran on the outside. And don't forget about the rookie, Nicario Noel Williams, a total steal in the draft. 7 interceptions last season? That's not something you ignore. So, when you look at this group, it's hard to say cornerback is a glaring need. It's not like we're desperate. And that's exactly what Tyler Jones pointed out on the Kansas City Chiefs report. He said trading for Alexander feels more like a luxury than a necessity. And, honestly, he's right. The Chiefs' defense is already shaping up to be elite in 2025. Chris Jones up front, George Karlaftis causing chaos, McDuffie in the backfield, and let's not forget Steve Spagnuolo, one of the smartest defensive minds in the game today. This isn't a defense that's scrambling to patch holes. This is a unit that's ready to dominate, with or without Jaire Alexander. But hey, let's flip it back to you. Do you think the Chiefs need to upgrade at cornerback? Drop your take in the comments. I want to hear your argument either way. Make your case. Also, if you're watching and haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Help us hit that 4,000 subscriber goal. Just one click goes a long way to keep this community growing and thriving. And if you're enjoying the breakdown, smash that like button so we know to keep this type of deep dive content coming. Next up, let's talk about the real cost. Money, draft picks, and what the Chiefs would have to give up to make this deal a reality. All right, now let's talk about the part that always gets tricky, the cost. And I'm not just talking about talent or fit. I'm talking about cold, hard cash and valuable draft picks. Trading for Jaire Alexander wouldn't be cheap. He's under contract for $17.5 million this year. That's a massive cap hit, especially when you consider the Chiefs have other players they'll want to extend or keep happy. Guys like Nick Bolton, Creed Humphrey, and maybe even another deal for Chris Jones down the line. So the money part? It's tough, especially for a player who, as good as he is, hasn't been consistently healthy. Over the last 2 seasons, Alexander has played just 14 games. That's a red flag. You don't just fork over a huge chunk of your cap for someone who's not guaranteed to be on the field every Sunday. And then there's the trade capital. Green Bay isn't just going to hand him over for a bag of chips. They'll want something meaningful in return, probably a day 2 pick at the very least, maybe more. Are you really willing to give up a 2nd rounder or a 3rd rounder for a guy who's expensive and injury-prone when you're already loaded at corner? Look, if Brett Veach pulls the trigger, we know he'll have a plan. The man's a wizard when it comes to cap strategy and finding value. But even a wizard has to know when a trade just doesn't make sense. Here's a scenario. What if the Packers decide to release Alexander instead? Now that's a different conversation. If he's cut and willing to take a pay cut, now we're talking. In that case, you could bring him in on a short-term, low-risk deal and really stack your secondary. But as it stands right now, trading for Jaire might be more trouble than it's worth. Let me ask you this. Would you give up a 2nd or 3rd round pick for Alexander, knowing his contract and injury history? Type yes or no in the comments and tell me why. Let's see where Chiefs Kingdom stands on this one. And remember, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, help us cross that 4,000 subscriber milestone. We're growing fast, and we want you with us every step of the way. Coming up next, what exactly would Alexander bring to the Chiefs, and does the upside outweigh the risk? Let's shift gears and talk about the upside, because make no mistake, Jaire Alexander can ball. When he's healthy, he's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. No exaggeration. He's a 2-time second-team All-Pro with Pro Bowl nods in both 2020 and 2022. And don't forget, he was named to the All-Rookie team back in 2018. This dude has been making plays from the moment he entered the league. Now in 2024, despite only playing 7 games, he still managed 7 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and a fumble recovery. That's serious production in a small window. He has elite ball skills, sticky coverage, and that confident, aggressive mentality you want in a top corner. You drop a guy like that into Kansas City's defense, a unit that's already scary good, and suddenly you're talking about a no-fly zone. Imagine Alexander lined up opposite Christian Fulton, with Trent McDuffie sliding inside to play nickel. That's a lockdown trio. And don't forget about Jamal Williams, the rookie with a nose for the football. You could go 4 deep and still feel confident against any receiving core in the NFL. Plus, he brings playoff experience. He's been in big moments, gone up against top receivers, and made his presence felt. If you're the Chiefs, you know exactly what that kind of experience can do when the pressure's at its peak. But here's the kicker. All of this only matters if he's on the field. That's the risk. If he stays healthy, you're getting one of the top 5 corners in the game. If not, you're stuck with a big contract, wasted draft capital, and a hole in your depth chart. So here's a question for you. If Jaire Alexander was willing to restructure his deal and take a smaller cap hit, would you want the Chiefs to go get him? Drop a yes or no in the comments, and tell us your ideal contract scenario for a veteran like him. And hey, if you're loving this kind of deep dive content, smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed to Total Chiefs News. We're trying to hit 4,000 subs, and every click gets us closer. Let's grow this thing together. Next up, we're diving into the final verdict. Should the Chiefs make this move or let it pass? All right, let's bring it home. Should the Kansas City Chiefs trade for Jaire Alexander? It's a big question, and honestly, there's no simple answer. On one hand, you're looking at a proven talent, an all-pro with elite instincts, playoff chops, and the kind of swagger that fits right into a Steve Spagnuolo defense. There's no doubt he'd elevate an already dangerous secondary. But on the other hand, the cost is steep. We're talking about a $17.5 million cap hit, a recent history of injuries, and potential draft capital that Brett Veach would have to give up. Not to mention, the cornerback room is already stacked. McDuffie, Fulton, Watson, and the rookie Jamal Williams make for a group that most teams would love to have. So do you roll the dice on a luxury piece, or do you stay the course with the guys you've already invested in? Here's how I see it. If the Packers release Alexander and he's willing to restructure his deal, absolutely, Kansas City should pounce. That's a no-brainer. But if it's going to take a big trade and the full weight of that contract, I'm not sure it's the smartest play right now. The Chiefs are already Super Bowl contenders. They don't need to make a splashy move just to prove a point. Brett Veach is a master of timing, and this just might not be the right time. But what do you think? This is your team too. Should the Chiefs trade for Jaire Alexander? Type yes or no in the comments, and let me know who else you'd want Veach to go after instead, if not Alexander. Let's hear your trade target wish list. Before we wrap up, if you made it this far, you're a real one. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Total Chiefs News. We're grinding to hit 4,000 subscribers, and your support makes all the difference. Until next time, keep believing in the kingdom. Talk soon.